everybody, this is Eli, and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this bowl out of epoxy resin and colored pencils. Let's get started. So I just started with this tabletop epoxy. It's from Pro Marine Supplies. I'll put a link in the description of it. And then on eBay we got these colored pencils. There's about 120 of them. And I just started sorting them from size ranges. So I just got all the long ones and then put all the short ones in a different group. And I just bunched them all together with rubber bands. And once I had a big group of them, I just put them on the sled on the table saw and just cut off the ends of them. And then once all those were cut, I just put them in a box, shook them up so they'd be all random, and then started cleaning them. I cleaned as many as I needed to fill this container, as you can see on my right. And it's just an old container I found laying around in the shop. And I just started filling it up to the top. And as you can see, it's nice and full. And once that was full, I just took this epoxy resin and I took 2 cups and I just poured the same amount in each cup and then put them in a bigger tub and then just started mixing them. And after that, I just poured it onto all of the pencils. And I had to mix up a couple batches. I probably did about 4 batches, but I didn't show all of them. Then once that everything was done, I just took the blowtorch to pop all the bubbles. I just lightly hovered it above the top. And then I just let it sit there for a couple of days. And then a couple of days later, once all the epoxy was dry, I just took my knife and I just started opening up this mold. And surprisingly enough, the epoxy actually did not stick to the mold, so it was pretty easy to get off the mold off of the tub. And then as you can see, some of the pencils didn't get all the way submerged with epoxy, so I just wanted to cut them off on the bandsaw so that I would have a nice smooth surface to work with on the lathe. So I just cut that off and now you can see I have a nice smooth surface. And then I just went over to my lathe and just started chucking it up onto the lathe. And then with it spinning on my wood lathe, I used my carbide bit scraper to just scrape it to a uniform cylinder shape. And then once it was this kind of the shape I wanted, I took it off the wood lathe and then used this 2-inch Forstner bit to drill an inset hole in the bottom of the bowl so that I could chuck it in my wood lathe. I drilled about 1/2 inch into this. And now you can see that shallow hole. And the reason why I did this was because I would put it on my chuck and I would have the chuck go the reverse way and hold on to it like an inverse chuck basically. And then once I had it on my chuck, I started making the shape that I wanted the bowl to be. And I kind of went for a tapered shape. I went a little bit smaller at the bottom and then went a little bit, gradually got bigger at the top. And I wanted the whole thing to flow, so it'd be kind of a nice shape that didn't have any sharp edges, really. And then once I had the general shape that I wanted, I started chiseling the inside. And I chiseled a little bit of the inside, but since it was so hard, I kind of changed my mind and I wanted to drill a hole through the bowl with a Forstner bit then chisel, so it'd be a lot easier. So as you see now, I put a Forstner bit, it was a 7/8 inch Forstner bit onto my tailstop so that I could drill a hole basically 3/4 of the way through the bowl so that it'd be a lot easier to chisel the bowl hollow. I drilled about 2.5 inches deep. And now you can see that it has a nice deep hole. Once I had that hole, I could start chiseling the inside of the bowl. And as you can see, drilling that hole in the middle made it a lot easier to chisel away. And also the inside of the bowl, I made a tapered hole so it went big on the outside and then went really shallow onto the inside as you went into the bowl, as you can see. And since I wanted the bowl to be a little bit deeper, I just took the same Forstner bit and I just drilled a little bit deeper. And then once the hole was deeper, I could just keep on chiseling. as you can see, there's some bubbles that got caught in the resin when it was drying. So to fill in those bubbles, I used some CA glue, and I just put it in all of the holes and then sprayed it with the activator so it would dry. And I just put it in as many as I could. So then I let it dry for about 4 days. Then I just used my carbide flat scraper to just scrape the rest of the bowl. And now the bowl was smooth. So then I bought this micro mesh. It goes from 1500 grit sandpaper to 12,000 grit sandpaper, and you use water with it, so it's like wet sandpaper. And you just start with the first one, which is a rust color, then go all the way to the last pad, which is a gray color, and it's 12,000 grit, so it leaves your resin a nice shiny finish. I'll put a link in the description to where you can get some micro mesh. And the cool thing is, once you sand it with this micro mesh, you don't even have to put a finish on the bowl because it makes the resin have such a nice finish. And now you can see it's nice and shiny. And it's super smooth. And since it was a little bit dirty, I just used some Dawn dish washing liquid, and I just scrubbed the bowl with it and then just cleaned it off with water. And now it's nice and clean. And then I'm just undoing it from the chuck on my lathe. And as you can see, there's some scratches in the bottom because I couldn't sand that part on the wood lathe, so I just went with the micro mesh again just by hand and sanded all the way through the grits. And since this is resin and not wood, I couldn't burn my logo in, so I just used a Sharpie and took my pipe and traced around it and then just drew an E. And there my logo is. So thank you guys so much for watching. I had quite a bit of fun making this. It didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to. The pencils rose, so there's bubbles in a big thick part of resin at the bottom. And also this resin I used wasn't exactly completely clear, and there's tons of bubbles. But I will be working with resin, you guys will see in future videos. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.